All right, so once we've established how to write the clefs, that's going to actually help us put names to every note. So that's the next thing you have to do to memorize and get used to thinking about these notes on a staff as representing different letters. That's how we give them names. Okay, so for now, there are two very important things you need to remember that is related to the clef. So for all the notes in the treble clef, okay, the one thing that you really have to remember is that since we start the treble clef on the second line, that note, a note that's on that second line, is G. Okay. Same thing with the bass clef. If since we're starting on the fourth line of the bass clef, okay, always think about this note as F. Okay, so because of this, you'll also sometimes hear the treble clef being described as a G clef, and the bass clef being described as the F clef. In general, the notes in the treble clef are a little higher in pitch, and the notes in the bass clef are a little lower. Okay. About the letters, so for music, we only use the first 7 letters of the alphabet. That's what we're going to call the musical alphabet. This is the musical alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. After G, we repeat back to A. Now, these notes in this alphabet goes from low to high. Right? So all if we line up all the notes here and we name them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, okay, the lower notes are over here, the higher notes are here. Again, this is referring to pitch. So low is lower notes, high is higher notes, low and high, okay, because we're trying to describe music. Now, that's also important for us to consider because now, since we know that this note is G, all we have to do is count up or down the staff to get the other names of the notes using the musical alphabet. So for example, if this is G, a note above it here in the second space will be one above G, which is A. Again, I'm saying above going to the right and below going to the left, okay, because this is lower, this is higher. And on the staff itself, of course, you can think about it low and high literally on the vertical axis. Okay, so this is an A. The note above that, the next line would be a B. The next space would be a C. The next line here, a D. This is an E, and so forth. Okay. There are different mnemonic devices that will help you think about, remember these notes, and you can you can look on Google for a number of different mnemonic devices to help you remember the treble clef. For example, all the notes in the spaces in the treble clef spell out face as an F, A, C, and E. Okay. But if all else fails, this is the most important one to remember, that the second line is G. And from there, you're counting up and down the musical alphabet. Okay. Again, one note below G would be F, one note above G is A, and so forth. When we're saying below and above, we're using notes on the staff, and we alternate line and space, line and space. Okay. Same thing here with the bass clef. Is the exact same concept. So one note above the F is a G. One note above that is an A. One note above that is a B, and so forth. Now, here's the last thing I'm going to go over here in this video is that once we reach the top here, this is actually not technically one of the 4 spaces because it sits on top of the staff. But once we have a note here, if I wanted to go even higher, that is to say to write a C above this B, what I'll need is a ledger line. Ledgerline. Okay, and that is a temporary line that we only assign to a note so that we can go even higher or lower than the staff allows us. Okay, so that is a C. In fact, that is what we call a middle C, and that'll come into use a little bit later on when we talk about notes in relation to the keyboard. Okay. But if you see these lines, all you're doing is pretending that there's another line or 2 or 3 lines on top of the staff, and we're continuing the pattern of naming the notes. For example, the note above the C would be then a D, and then an E, and then an F. Okay. Same thing with the treble clef. Okay. If I have a note here all the way up here, that's a G. E, F, G, and then one note above would be an A. Okay, so take a look at the reading and then also some of the exercises that I posted, and this is how you name notes to the treble and bass clef, also using leisure lines.